ARI, the Ambassador of Israel, Honorable Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment, Mrs. Olivia Stylianou, Professor Sheenan Harpaz, distinguished guests, and dear colleagues, the Agricultural Research Institute welcomes you in today's lecture, which is organized by the Embassy of Israel, and has the following subject: Innovative Agricultural Research conducted at the Agricultural Research Organization, Israel, and methods for its implementation. The main speaker is Professor Sheenan Harpaz, Deputy Director of Research and Development at the Volcani Agricultural Research Organization, a research center of international standing which has earned worldwide reputation for its expertise. Professor Harpaz has held his current position since 2011 and has published numerous articles in scientific journals and given presentations in many countries around the world. I would like to first invite the Honorable Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment, Mrs. Olivia Stylianou, to give her introductory speech.
Your Excellency, Professor, dear friends, I accepted with great pleasure the invitation to address today's event that the Embassy of Israel and the Agricultural Research Institute have organized. Agriculture has always been an innovative sector. Most of the farms of today have little in common with the farms of the 1950s. And the farms of 2050 will probably differ significantly from the farms of today. It is obvious that the challenges and also the opportunities that are ahead of us are as great today as they were 60 years ago. In the coming years, the agricultural sector will need to meet the societal challenges of food safety, food security, and food quality. These challenges must be achieved whilst protecting the environment and being more resource efficient. We will have to do more with less through greater use of recycling, upcycling, and wasting less. Innovation in agriculture is the crucial element to meet the coming challenges. Innovation is the key to sustainable rural development. Through innovation, we can maintain the competitiveness of the agri-food sector and create more and better jobs in rural areas, all the while safeguarding the planet for future generations. Innovative agriculture should also ensure the protection of natural resources, biodiversity, landscape, soil and water, and increase the environmental and climate benefits that farming provides. A key element to achieve the above-mentioned challenges is the establishment of strong linkages between researchers, farmers, and the industry. It is evident that these linkages have not been as strong as they should be. However, today, it is clear that agricultural knowledge and innovation systems need to become more efficient and interactive. Since its establishment in 1962, the Agricultural Research Institute of Cyprus has been devoted to applied agricultural research. Its research results are transferred to stakeholders through modern educational programs and dissemination tools. The Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment supports the Agricultural Research Institute's goal to become a model center of knowledge and innovation in the agricultural and environmental domains, in view of leading Cyprus to a better future by strengthening rural development, improving the quality of life, and ensuring the sustainable use of natural resources. In the last few years, ARI has reevaluated its research priorities and proposed a new strategy towards 2020. The new strategy takes into consideration all European Union initiatives, including smart agriculture, which promotes sustainable economic, societal, and environmental rural development. To achieve its goal, the Agricultural Research Institute has established and strengthened collaboration with other national, regional, and international organizations, such as the Agricultural Research Organization, the Volcani Center. The This organization is the largest agricultural research body in Israel, responsible for a high percentage of agricultural innovation. It is also involved in the proper transmission of the developed knowledge to end users. The experience and know-how of the Agricultural Research Organization is very important for us here in Cyprus, and we are therefore very excited to listen to Professor Harpaz's presentation. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Mr. Mikhail Harari, Ambassador of Israel, I invite you to give a welcome address for the event.
Good morning, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely happy to be here again in this venue of research and excellence, actually, and depth. I'm very happy to be here for our presentation of Professor Harpaz. And, well, as you know, I mean, agriculture in the last, few years, or more than a few years, it goes hand by hand with technology, actually, agriculture and high tech. And of course, I'm sure that we will hear about it a lot by Professor Harpaz's presentation. At the same time, I believe that we should look at, and of course, there's no contradiction, but at the agricultural sector as a national asset, national value. And I suppose this is extremely important for all of us, actually. I mean, as governments, as academia, and as people. I mean, it is very much, of course, well advanced world. So just like to wish all of us a fruitful and interesting morning session presentation. And of course, I would like to invite all of you to this coming conference, or whatever excuse, of course, I mean, to visit Israel. Thank you very much.
Please, Professor Sheenan Harpaz, I invite you to start your presentation.
Well, thank you very much for your kind invitation. And I've had some fruitful discussions this morning, so I know that your institute and our institute are brother and sister institutes, and we share the same problems. And hopefully, in some of my presentation today, you will be able to learn about how we dealt with some of our problems and to collaborate in order to help you and also help us move forward. So I hope that I got that right in Greek. You're welcome, of course. And because some people say the spelling should be different, I don't know. But it's okay?
Yes. Yes.
So welcome. My presentation is going to be about innovative agriculture research, as the title says. And the Agricultural Research Organization is the research arm of the Ministry of Agriculture in Israel. And just like the institute here, we also went through a strategic program to see where we are going. And within that strategic program, we were also asked to have a vision statement. A vision statement is a dream that you should always strive to get to. But some people say you will never get there. We hope we will. So our vision is excellence in research and development for promotion of agriculture, and most important, the protection of the environment. Because we have to leave that for our children and grandchildren, and if we will destroy the environment, we have a great problem there. This is a map of Israel just to show you where we are situated. We are in the center of Israel, Bet Hagan, which is near Tel Aviv. We have two more centers of research in the northern part of Israel at Neve Yael, and in the southern part of Israel at Gilat. And this enables us to do work on different climatic conditions, and different soil conditions, and different fruits and vegetables that grow in these areas. So for example, in the southern part, you must know that 60% of Israel is a desert. Lucky for you, this is not the situation here. But we have only 10% of our population living in the desert area, and only 1.4% of the total national workforce is engaged in agricultural production. The more developed a country is, the less the agricultural sector is. So I understand that in Cyprus, your workforce in agriculture is double this, so you are still in the process of developing into being the most developed in that area. Most of the agriculture in Israel is irrigated. So we need water, which is the same problem that you have here, with water and the price of water, availability of water and price of water. In the southern part of Israel, we have abundance of land, but the high temperature and intensive radiation can be a problem in agriculture. Our main water source in the desert part of Israel is saline water, which we have in the ground, but we have to find the correct crops to grow there, and we use recycled water. I will talk about that later, but Israel recycles more than 75% of its sewage water for use in agriculture. And that is a great source of water that we can reuse. So in Cyprus, I understand that you're also using recycled water, but not at the same quantities. The crops that we have in the desert are winter vegetables, greenhouse flowers, dates, grapes, and olives, similar to some of the production that you have here, but in the northern part of Israel, we have different climatic conditions, and that enables to grow more citrus, avocado, mango, grapes, apples, peaches, different stone fruits, and we also grow peanuts and potatoes. That's grown in both parts of the country. And this is our main secret. We call it the Golden Triangle. It is between our research institute, the extension service that gives the know-how to the farmers themselves, and of course between the extension service and the farmers. Why is it very important? Because I tell our researchers, you as researchers can learn a lot from the farmers if you have a dialogue with them, if you meet with them, if you learn what their problems are. So it's not only you as a researcher helping the farmer helps you. And in actual fact, yesterday on my way to Cyprus, at the airport, I had a phone call from one of our farmers who was asking me questions, and I answered him about his problems. I've traveled in many countries in the world, and there's always a distance between the researchers and the farmers. There's no connection. If you will have a good dialogue, a good connection, it will only enhance the quality of the research that you do. And if this is one of the take-home messages, this is very important to do so. We also send our researchers to teach at universities. Our research center has a total of 200 researchers, PhD level and above, and each of these researchers has a group of technicians and students around him to help him do the work. But we send our researchers to the universities to teach because, unfortunately, the amount of professors in this area is going down because agriculture is no longer the main issue today. So we send our researchers and we teach at university courses, and that's how we maintain also the connection with the students and with the entire system. We are divided within our organization to 6 different institutes dealing with different areas of agriculture, all the way from soil and water, animal science, plant protection, post-harvest, food, plant science institute, and agricultural engineering. And of course, the 2 stations that I mentioned before, these are organized under the director and deputy director, myself, for research and development. We also have an associate director for academic affairs, And then we have the 6 institutes, the regional centers that I mentioned before, and we also have a unit called Kidum, which is in charge of promoting and actually selling our know-how. Now this is a very difficult point. In the past, we were established, by the way, we were established in 1921, so we are old, very old, but still young. And we were established in order to create know-how and give that know-how to the agricultural sector. When I was accepted to work at the ARO, that was our mission. That was not too long ago, not 90 years ago, but I knew that whatever I produce, I give for free to the farmers. 15 years ago, we discovered that our farmers know what to do with the know-how. They take it and sell it to other countries, to other farmers, other companies. So we decided that if we have to sell, then we know how to sell better because we created it. We know all about the technology, and therefore we created this unit which is in charge of selling our IP, our intellectual property. So this is what they do. They are an autonomous unit within our institute. They are responsible for joint ARO and industry R&D projects. So they act to do the negotiations, to do the work with the companies, if it's commercial companies. They do licensing of rights related to intellectual property, that is patents that we have or varieties that we've developed. They give the licensing. It's always the patents and the varieties are registered in the name of the government of Israel, but the licensing to use this information can be given to different companies around the world, not only in Israel. And they also do work on evaluation and feasibility studies. Many times it is important for a company or for a region to know what is best to do in this region. So we come in and offer our help in feasibility studies. About 1979, we established within our institute the Israel Gene Bank. This is a bank that was established in order to lose money, and it's doing very well. We are taking the seeds from the area and preserving them for future generations. The same is being done here in Cyprus, and I was glad to hear that. It's very important because many of the species already have reached the red line and soon they will disappear. So we keep them for future generations, as well as the fact that each of these seeds and plants contain within them gene resources that can be used in case we have a disease or a problem. We can go back to the bank and see if within the plants that we have there is some resistance to some diseases or conditions that exist. So it's very important to maintain this bank, although, as I said, it's a losing bank because we put in money all the time to keep this, and in the future we'll be able to go back and use it. We also have ties and collaborations with universities around the world, including here in Cyprus, and also in the region with our neighboring countries and with the Palestinian Authority. We always say that insects do not know about borders, and they fly freely from one country to another, and therefore it's important to collaborate, because when you collaborate you can fight together against a common enemy in terms of the insects. We also do training courses. We have short time term courses in which we invite people from around the world to come and listen to 2 weeks, 3 weeks of seminars and courses in advancements in agriculture. Necessity is the mother of invention. When you had lots of water, you didn't worry about the price of water and how to do and what to do, etc. When you have less, that becomes more and more of an issue and importance. And since we are a desert nation, we've been exposed to the lack of water for more than 65 years, so we've developed a lot of technologies that today are becoming more and more important for different countries around the world, including the problem of global warming and desertification. More and more areas are becoming arid. So what are being opportunities? And I look at these as opportunities, not as threats, because in many places in the world, when you come and hear a lecture about these problems, they all talk about the threat. Energy crisis. In the year 2008, not too long ago, the government in the United States decided to promote something which looked very important and nice. That is, by the year 2010, they wanted all the oil companies in the United States to have 10% of their products would be from renewable energy. The oil is running out, and therefore it looked like a very good thing and would promote companies to create renewable energy. What happened in actual fact was that the companies, and these are oil companies, remember, they have a very deep pocket. They went and bought corn, sorghum, and other crops that can be used in order to create alcohol or biodiesel. Once they did that, the price of these crops doubled within 1 year. 2009, the price of all these crops doubled. Now this is a terrible situation for people who are growing animals because they feed on those grains, and the price of the feed, of course, became very, very high, and the profitability of these farmers went down. So we look at it in a different manner, and we are working on plants that are not edible and can be used in order to create biodiesel. So these plants grow in areas of our country that are not that good at growing edible crops, but we can use them to grow these type of plants. Food crisis, again, we are working on developing plants with high yield and high tolerance to diseases and pests. Improving storage conditions. We're talking about food crisis. People say that in the year 2050, some say 2048, but others say 2050, there will be not enough food for all the 9 billion people that will be on this planet. When you look at what can be done, okay, we can see it in the future coming. When we look at what can be done, well, the first thing that we can do is reduce food losses. In the developing countries, food losses are due to the fact that food is produced, but from the farmer to the consumer, 30% of the food is lost. It's lost to insects, it's lost to fungus, it's lost because storage conditions are not good. In the developed countries, 30% is lost after it is sold to the consumer. Think about each and every one of you. When you finished eating, is there something left on the plate? This morning at my hotel, I saw a lot was left on the plates. So people eat with their eyes. They have big eyes, they want to take a lot, but they don't consume all of it. So first, by education, we can reduce these food losses, and by working on improvement of storage conditions, which we do, we can increase those losses and minimize them at least. We're working on precision agriculture. Okay, this is a new field which in Israel we're using even satellite images in order to improve the agricultural production. This was very, very expensive in the past to use satellite technology, but it was used for other purposes, mainly military purposes, and then it became very cheap. So this technology is available, and we can use it now for agriculture to improve our production. If we go to global warming, well, as I mentioned before, we've been warming up for the last 65 years in Israel, so we have enough know-how about how to grow things under desert conditions. And for many places in the world, people are coming to us to learn how to do agriculture under arid conditions. And of course, we must always remember to keep the environment and to work in a manner that will not jeopardize or threaten the ecological integrity of the natural ecosystems that are around us. So, limitations on existing agriculture under desert conditions. We have extreme climatic conditions of temperature and radiation, water limitations, both in quantity and quality, and how we utilize this water. We have, in the desert, the type of soil is completely different. It's mainly sand or clay, very poor in organic matter levels. So these are the things that we face, and in the market, what we face is a competitive market. We export mainly to Europe, and today many countries can produce, but in order to compete, we need to have a product improvement in terms of size, taste, color, aroma, functional food, and shelf life, how to keep it longer on shelves. We have a scarcity of natural resources, particularly water. So we have been increasing our water use efficiency and using brackish water, it's water that has some salt in it, and recycled effluents. We've even found out that by using brackish water, you can improve the quality of the vegetables. For example, if we grow tomatoes and we give them brackish or salty water, the plant is stressed and produces more sugars. So those tomatoes are sweet. So we sell them today under the brand name Desert Sweet. So if you take the lack of water, using saline water, getting an improvement on the product, this is something that can be utilized. We have expensive labor input in Israel, and we are there to reduce the use of pesticides, and that's very important. Over the last 7 years, we've had a program to reduce the use of pesticides in the production of peppers, for example. Before this program began, the growers of the pepper would spray the pepper every Monday and every Thursday, 17 times until the pepper reached the consumer. 17 times it was sprayed. Today, only 7 years after we started the program, we have managed to reduce the number of sprays to 5 times instead of 17 times. We are hoping to reach no pesticide use, but we realize that there are problems in the production. Nonetheless, by reducing the level of pesticides, we protect both the farmer, who is there with the pesticide spraying, the consumer, to get less pesticides or leftovers of pesticides in the pepper, and of course the reduction in cost. Pesticides are very expensive. So if we just reduce from 17 to 5, the farmer has saved a lot of money. Fruit quality is very important. Among the melons, the Gallia species that we developed at ARO 25 years ago, was very unique in texture, aroma, and sweetness, and it was sold throughout the Western world. In one of the countries that it was sold, in Europe, the people took the seeds of the melon, you can see over there, planted them, sold them in their country, and now it is their melon. We learned from that experience, and today we create hybrids that are sterile. So there are no seeds, and if they have seeds, the seeds will not germinate. So unfortunately, they have to come back to us to grow these melons again. We do most of our work at our research institute is market directed. The market dictates to us what is it that's important for the market, and we try to meet the demands of the market. So, in the 1970s and before, what was most important for the farmers is yield, to get as much as they can from the plants. So most of our work was to get more and more yield. In 1980s, more and more supermarkets came in instead of the open markets, where fresh things are sold every day. The supermarkets wanted long shelf life. If you can put a fruit or vegetable that will last for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks and more, supermarkets are happy. So we worked on long shelf life. In the 1990s, the people came back and said, look, you've created these vegetables that last for so many weeks, but we take a tomato, we eat it, there's no taste to it. We remember from our childhood the taste of the tomato. Many people remember that, the taste of tomato or any other food of what used to be. Same people who don't remember what they had for breakfast, but they remember the good taste of what they had many years back. So we went into research, into taste and appearance, to bring back that. So that now if we have a tomato, yes, we can throw it on the floor and it bounce back up to us, but it still has the good aroma and the good appearance, the good taste. And today, in the 2000 years, people are interested in the nutritional quality. People say we don't want just to get pepper or tomato or whatever, we want it to be also important in the level of nutritional ingredients in it, so that we know that when we eat one of these fruits or vegetables, it has good nutritional quality for us. So, just to give you an example in this, we've developed functional tomatoes. What is that? It's tomatoes that are rich in lycopene. Lycopene is the carotenoid. It gives the color to the tomato. It is also a very strong antioxidant, and it also gives flavor to some of the tomato. So, if we look at the variety that we have developed, this one over here, this is very rich in lycopene. Okay, so the same tomato that you're eating, you get 4 or 5 times more lycopene in that tomato. But it also gives us another opportunity, and that is to extract the lycopene from the tomato, and then you can add this to other products. So this is exactly what we have. We have breeding introducing elite high pigment to the fresh market tomato, and using this lycopene, and it can then be added to different products, all the way from lycosoy or cookies or other products. So we developed that, we marketed this idea to a company. The company is now growing the tomatoes, extracting the lycopene. Because the lycopene level is very high, they need less tomatoes, and it's more profitable to do this process. The same can be done with other good traits of products that you have. So it's a dual purpose, not only fresh to eat as is, but also to use for other products. If we're talking about peppers, the Arava region, the desert region of Israel, they grow peppers. 80% of the peppers in Israel are grown in a desert, under desert conditions. And today we have different varieties of peppers, different colors that have different carotenoids, again, those antioxidants that can give beneficial effect to us as human beings consuming them. And also we have peppers that are rich in calcium. Calcium is very important, especially for aging people, where the loss of calcium in the bones causes the bones to be brittle and breakable, so that if you enrich your food with calcium from a natural source, from pepper, it will help against problems of elderly people breaking bones when they fall, or even without falling, sometimes just by pressure they can break the bone. Other noteworthy achievements of our plant protection is the use of the reduction in pesticides, as I mentioned before, the use of solarization. That is, we have a lot of sun, heat produced by the sun. If you cover the soil with plastic, the heat that is created underneath this plastic will kill all the insects and fungus that are soil-borne. And by doing that, you don't have to use any pesticides, and you can get the area clean of pests. This system is being produced in Israel, perfected in Israel. We've been using it for the last 35 years, and the results are very good. in our Institute of Soil, Water and Environmental Sciences, we have two departments. One that deals with environmental physics and irrigation, soil chemistry and plant nutrition and microbiology. These are things that are similar to what is done here in this institute. Just two things is that we use purified wastewater and brackish water, and also we're using desalinized water. But this is very important because here in Cyprus you also have a desalination plant and you get desalinized water. The problem with using desalinized water for agricultural crops is that that water does not contain any of the nutrients that the plants need. If you want to add those nutrients to that water, it's going to be very expensive to do so. So using desalinized water directly for agriculture will be detrimental for the agricultural crops. You always have to mix the two in order to make sure that you have the nutrients in the water. I say that because we learned it the hard way. The agricultural sector was using desalinized water directly for their crops, and they came to us crying that there is a mysterious disease. The plants that should be 1 meter high are now only 40 centimeters high. So we came, we checked, we did not find any insects, any viruses, any problems, but it was across the board in the whole area that they were irrigating with desalinized water. That was the problem. We have now devised a system where always the water is mixed to make sure that they have the high level of ingredients in the water which are used for the plant nutrition. Today in Israel, 77% of our wastewater is reused for agricultural crops. Not without problems. There are problems when you use wastewater like that. One of the problems that you have is the creation of a biofilm inside the irrigating lines. The biofilm, because the water is rich with organic matter in it, the microbial population develop and cause a biofilm that will clog the irrigation lines because we use drip irrigation. So if we are aware of that, we know how to treat it with different ways to deal with that so that get rid of the biofilms inside the pipes. As I understand, here in Cyprus, you are using about 20-25% of your wastewater is being used for agricultural crops. So we still have a long way to go, and you can learn from our problems and our experiences with using recycled water. In our Institute of Post-Harvest and Food Sciences, we have two departments, one that is involved in food quality and safety, and post-harvest sciences of fresh products. At the end of next month, on the 28th and 30th, until the 30th of April, we are going to have in Israel an agricultural exhibition called AgriTech. And that exhibition is held once every 3 years. In AgriTech, our organization is having over there an international symposium on post-harvest of agricultural crops. So you are more than invited to come to AgriTech and to attend this international conference on post-harvest problems. In terms of what is done in the post-harvest department, Israel is one of the leading exporters of herbs to Europe. Now, many of you probably remember and know that you can go to the market and you get fresh herbs. Okay. This was very fresh this morning, and right now it's already looking not so fresh, but within 2 or 3 days you wouldn't want to look at it. Our Department of Post-Harvest developed these special packages that you see over here. These packages here are what we call breathing packages, and they're developed For each different herb is a different package. And what is important is the perforation, how many holes you have in the plastic that closes this packaging. By using these packages, we are able to keep the herbs fresh for up to 6 weeks. 6 weeks, it's as if you just picked it that day. By doing so, we are now able to export our herbs to the market in Europe, not only by planes, which is expensive, but also by boat, by ships. And we have new species of basil, oregano, rosemary, hyssop, celery, lemongrass. All these have been developed in order to be suitable for these packages, and then they can go to the market in Europe. Institute of Agricultural Engineering, we have 2 departments. One is working on sensing, information, mechanization, engineering, and the second is on growing, production, and environmental engineering. What do we have developed in those institutes, in those departments? We have over here, this is a special device that's used inside greenhouses to maintain the temperature of the greenhouse. But the maintaining of the temperature in the greenhouse is done not just by heating the environment, but also by a device in here, in this machine, that takes out the moisture from the air. Because when you heat, you have a lot of moisture come up from the ground, from the plants. High level of moisture is problematic because you get fungus diseases. So the greenhouses usually suffer from fungal diseases. When we use this device over here, we reduce the moisture in the air to below 50%, and that reduces the problems of fungal diseases dramatically. So in the past, in the greenhouses, we used to spray against fungus. Today, when we use this device, we don't have to spray against fungus. It's a natural way of getting rid of diseases, again, without contaminating the environment. It also saves energy because the hot air in the greenhouse is recycled through this system. It doesn't go out, so you're not losing heat to the environment. Pomegranate is one of our crops that you grow in Israel, and you grow here as well. I heard that you have 28 varieties of pomegranate. We have 65, so we still can exchange something. And one of the major problems of pomegranates is the fact that when you break open the pomegranate to take out the kernels inside, you get stained, your clothes get stained, your hands get stained, and some of the stains remain there. So our agricultural engineering department developed a machine that automatically takes out the arrows from the pomegranate. And as you can see, the capacity of this machine is 1.5 tons of arrows per day, which is very nice. And we can sell the product. Over here you see the product clean. People can eat directly with a spoon without getting their hands dirty. But we have a problem. What is the problem? A company or a farmer that bought this machine, the machine can work exactly 1 month in a year. That's the pomegranate season. And then what? Then the spiders have fun with this machine, and the bank is calling the farmer to say, what's happening with the loan that you took on this machine? We have developed varieties of pomegranate that can give fruit between 8 and 9 months a year. So the orchard of the farmer has different rows. Each of them will give fruit in a different time of the year. And by doing so, we supply work to this machine. Otherwise, it's not worthwhile to keep this machine. A machine like this costs close to $500,000. Okay, in euros it's a little less, but still it's a lot of money. And and we're using this machine for 1 month or 1.5 months, it is not worthwhile. So this machine has work now because we introduced different varieties. I'm now coming to animal science. We have two departments, one ruminant science and the other poultry and aquaculture. The Israeli cow is #1 in the world in production of milk. We have on average about 12,000 liters per cow per year. The leading countries in the world, United States and Europe, the level of production is 9,000 liters of milk per cow per year. How did we achieve that? We achieved that through genomic selection and genetic selection. The geneticists of the Institute of Animal Science have developed a method that's used on all the cows in Israel. The cows, the milking cows in Israel, are all selected and bred according to the instructions of our geneticists. We have 120,000 cows in Israel, milking cows, and they're all bred artificially, and the insemination is done according to what the geneticists tell the farmers to do. That way, you keep and maintain high level of production of the cows, and we have also developed markers, genetic markers, to be able to improve the quality of the milk and the quantity of the milk. So it's not only improving in quantity. Some people say, yes, you improved to 12,000 liters of milk, but we think that the 3,000 liters extra is water. Actually, you're selling water to the people. The truth is not. The farmer gets the money for the milk according to the level of protein and fat in the milk. The higher the level of protein, the more the farmer gets of his milk. Actually, in Israel, there's a target price, and if the level of protein is less than this target, the farmer cannot get any money for his milk. So it's not only the quantity, it's also the quality. And we can determine how to increase the quality. In terms of sheep, our local sheep in Israel is called the Awasi, local variety. And when we started working with this sheep, the reproduction rate was only about 1.2 lambs per year. After our genetic program and selection, today we have between 2 and 2.5 lambs per lambing cycle. And that means that the farmer, for the same amount of mother sheep, gets double the production. In fact, we even fear that we've gone beyond what the farmer needs, because in some instances this has introduced not only twins and triplets, but sometimes the same lamb has 5 and 6. The same mother has 5 or 6 lambs, and that is already a problem because you have to bring in a vet to help the sheep in delivering this large number of lambs. And now we come to fish supply. You as an island know a lot about fish, but I don't know if you know that the demand for fish in the world is going up. Fish are considered healthy food, and in terms of the amount of the kilograms of fish per person per year, this is the level over here, and the world is around 16 or 17 kilograms of fish per person per year. Now there's some countries where it's much more. In Japan it's 120 kilograms of fish per person per year. In Israel it's a little less, only 13 kilograms per person per year. In Cyprus I presume it's more, but I'm not sure exactly what the figure is. 13 as well?
Definitely is more.
Definitely is more.
I don't know.
Okay. So, this is the picture in the world. What we do not, or most of the people do not know, that in terms of the amount of fish that we catch in the sea, in all the seas in the world, we're talking about around 90 million cubic tons, 90 million tons of fish per year. That's it. And that figure has stayed the same for the last 15 years. 90 million tons of fish per year. Out of those 90 million tons of fish, 1/3, 30 million tons of fish are used to produce fish meal. And the fish meal is then given to fish to eat. So aquaculture, production of fish in the world, is growing rapidly. But it's growing by giving fish meal. And there's a limit to how much fish meal we have in the world. As a result of that, the price of fish meal is going up. And the alternative to that is to use soybean meal for feeding fish. If we look at what happened to the price of fish meal and soybean meal, all the way from 1989, we go all the way here. The price of fish meal is going up. You see these two peaks over here, 2008, 2009. We spoke about what happened to grains in the world. Same was true for soybean. The price went up here. But today, this is 2011, is the last thing here. Today, 2015, the price of fish meal is, I checked last week, $2,350 per ton of fish meal. Okay, this is the main ingredient in the feed of all the salmon fish that you eat. When you eat salmon fish, you're eating fish meal that was used to feed the salmon fish. Same is true for many other of the fish that you grow here. You produce here in the island, Chipura. These fish are sold to Israel, among other places. The price of the food from Chipura has gone up because of the ingredient in fish meal, has gone up tremendously. And that means that the profitability for the farmer is going down tremendously. So of course we have to find alternatives. So one of the alternatives is, as I mentioned before, the soybean. That can be used as an alternative feed for fish. We're not the only ones that realize that. Some small nation called China also realized that. And if you look at what's happening, China is buying fish meal because they grow fish there. So the level of fish meal that they buy is in blue here. And we're talking here about 2 million metric tons of fish meal that is bought by China. The total production in the world of fish meal is around 6 to 6.5 million metric tons. 1/3 is bought by China already. But I mentioned before that 30 million tons of fish are used for fish meal. Why is this gap? Because fish meal is actually dried fish. The water evaporates out and the fish meal itself is only 6.5 tons out of 30 tons of fish that are caught. What else is happening? In the past, in the countries that produce soybean, the soybean is used to extract the oil. Okay, and the soybean meal is actually soybean cake after extracting the oil. That was sold for production of animals around the world. So look at what happened in China. In China, in 1995, here they used to buy the soybean meal. The level went up higher. This is actual soybean, not soybean meal. And as of the year 2000, China no longer buys soybean meal. They buy the soybean in large quantities. They extract the oil. They produce their own soybean meal. It's of course cheaper for them. And they're the ones that are leading in the world in production of fish using soybean. So they're learning quickly what to do. So, not enough food. We have to find ways to produce better and produce fish in a cheaper way so that we can supply the great demand for fish that's growing in the world as well as here in Cyprus. What have we done in Israel? We have desert aquaculture. Now that sounds totally crazy. Desert aquaculture? Water in the desert? How do we do it? Yes, we use the advantages of the desert. How do we use it? We have the ponds over here are covered. Why are they covered? Because during the day it's very hot in the desert, but at night the temperature goes down to around 0. In order to maintain the heat of the water, which is very important for the fish, the warmer the water is, the better the fish grow. We close this during the night to maintain the heat, but during the day we open so that the heat, excess heat, will escape from here. The fish are grown intensively here. By intensively, I mean between 35 and 50 kilograms of fish per cubic meter of water. Okay? In the cages that you have here around your coast, the amount of fish that are grown in the cages is around 12 to 15 kilograms of fish per cubic meter of water. In these ponds, we grow them much more intensively, and the water from these ponds, the water goes out and waters these date palms over here. So the water is reused. The same water is for fish production and for date palms. The water coming out to the date palms has within it the waste products of the fish, which are actually fertilizers for the plants. So we're getting water with fertilizers in it, and both the palm grower and the aquaculture unit here share the cost of the water. So it's cheaper for both. Just as a question, does anybody here know how much water one of these trees, requires per day? Anyone can guess how many liters? Just a guess. It's okay. 50 liters. Anybody else? More?
Okay,
100 liters. Anybody else? More? 1,000 liters of water per day is required for these trees. 1,000 liters of water per day. This is crazy, because in each of the pictures that we see of the desert, we always see this tree. Yes, it only exists in oases, in places where there is water. In the desert, you will never find this tree, only in very selected places. But each of these trees creates 200 kilograms of dates, which we can sell. The average price that the farmer in Israel gets for 1 kilogram of dates is 8 euros, average price. Okay, so then it makes sense to start growing and using.
it's a good business.
Yeah, one tree, 200 kilograms, 8 euros per kilogram. It's a good business. But we need a lot of water. So we found out that we can use saline water for these trees. Water that we cannot use for other agricultural crops. They can stand, these trees can withstand high level of salinity. The fish can also withstand high level of salinity, even freshwater fish. So this combination is a good combination for both sides. This is intensive production of fish in ponds in the Negev region, which is a desert in Israel. So we grow intensive production of fish there, and we follow the Chinese philosophy, which Confucius coined about 2,000 years ago, saying, give a person a fish and you feed him for a day, teach that person to grow fish, and you fed him for a lifetime. That is correct. We have our new philosophy at our institute. And the new philosophy is, give a person a fish, and you feed him for a day, teach that person to consult with Dr. Google, and we will not bother you for weeks. But we are still open for consultations, and people do call us and get information from us. In the desert, we also grow ornamental fish. And ornamental fish, here you see the guppies. The guppy fish is a small ornamental fish. All the fish that you see over here are males, because in the animal kingdom, the males are always prettier and more colorful than the females, except for the human race. The colorful males here get a good price in the market. Our farmers sell these fish to Europe, and they get about 30 cents per fish. Some of our farms produce around 150,000 fish per month. So you can see that this is a good income to grow these fish. But it's not an easy task. All the fish that you see over here, as pretty as they look, are ones that were rejected from going to the market. And why? Because this one over here has a tear in its tail, this over here is rejected, the color over here is not good enough, etc., etc. Each of these has a problem. Only the top grade can go to the market, and that needs a lot of specialization, a lot of work to train the farmers to be able to reach the quality that is needed for the market. Now, as I mentioned before, the males get a better price, so we have to find a way to separate between the males and females. In our laboratory, we use this method to separate between the males and females. We put them in an aquarium, and they separate the males and females according to what they have over there. Sometimes this method doesn't work, so we resort to genetic manipulations, and we can grow today, segregate males and females. We also have cold water strains of ornamental fish. These are called koi carp, and they actually come from the edible carp, but these are mutations that are colorful. For example, if you look at the tancho, the fish that's over here, with the white, with the red spot over here, this is very popular in Japan because it reminds them of the Japanese flag. So they're very eager to buy these fish, but all in all, the koi carp, different strains, are very expensive. Some of these fish sell for $50,000 to $60,000 US per fish. Okay, it's a very expensive fish. These are, of course, very rare. Most of the fish are sold for a lot less, but still it's a good business to grow these. In one of my lectures, someone asked me if you can eat these fish. The answer is yes, you can eat it, but it will be a very expensive meal. Because these are actually carp fish. So, I hope that I've opened your eyes to the research that we do in Israel, and I thank you very much for your attention.
We warmly thank Professor Sheenan Harpaz for his interesting presentation and highlighting all the innovation produced in his institute in Naro. And now we can proceed to the session of questions and answers, where comments or questions by you can be submitted to Professor Sheenan Harpaz.